All right, we're about to dive deep, and I mean literally, into a geological mystery that could actually rewrite the map of our world. What if I told you there's a lost continent, one that's been hiding in plain sight for millions and millions of years? Let's explore this.
So let's just start with a pretty wild question. Could there really be a continent on Earth that we've just missed? I know it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but believe it or not, the answer is a huge yes, and the story of how we found it is just incredible.
94%. Just let that number sink in. That's how much of an entire continent is submerged deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. We're talking millions of square kilometers, almost completely hidden from view. That's the crazy reality we're looking at today.
So, what is this place? Well, geologists have named it Zealandia. For a long time, scientists just thought it was a jumble of islands and some random continental fragments. But now, thanks to a ton of new research, we know its true identity. It's a vast, single, coherent continent, just almost entirely drowned by the sea.
That's right, it's official. After years and years of debate and gathering data, the scientific community is pretty much on the same page. So, say hello to Zealandia, Earth's 8th continent. And get this, it's also our planet's youngest, thinnest, and by far the most submerged continent.
To get a handle on the sheer scale of this thing, think about this. Zealandia covers nearly 5 million square kilometers. That is way bigger than Greenland, and it's about 2/3 the size of Australia. So we are not talking about some little island chain here. This is a monster piece of continental crust.
But here's the kicker, the paradox of it all. Even though it's absolutely massive, 94% of it is underwater. The only parts that actually poke out above the surface are the islands we know as New Zealand and New Caledonia. And this is the central mystery, right? How can a landmass so huge be almost completely invisible?
So, this all leads to a really crucial question. If you can't even see it, how can you be so sure it's a continent at all? Well, geologists have a very specific checklist, and proving Zealandia's case took decades of deep-sea drilling and mapping to finally nail down.
So what makes a continent anyway? It's not just about being a big piece of land above water. The scientific definition is all about the geology. You need a clear boundary. You need to be sitting higher than the ocean floor around you. You need a mix of different rock types. And, this is the big one, you need a thick continental crust.
And that's really where the difference is. See, the Earth's crust comes in two main flavors. You've got the thin, dense oceanic crust made of basalt, which makes up the seafloor, and then you have the much thicker, less dense continental crust made of stuff like granite. So to make the case for Zealandia, scientists had to figure out what it was made of.
And you know what? When scientists finally dredged the seafloor and drilled down into Zealandia's crust, they hit the jackpot. The crust was thick, way thicker than the oceanic crust around it. It sat higher than the surrounding ocean basin, and the rock samples they pulled up were undeniably continental. We're talking granite, schist, sandstone. It ticked every single box on that checklist. Case closed.
Okay, so we've established that it's a continent, but that just leads to an even bigger question. Why is it underwater? Well, the answer is a pretty dramatic geological story that started over 100 million years ago.
Now, this didn't just happen overnight. About 100 million years ago, Zealandia was happily attached to the ancient supercontinent Gondwana, nestled right up against Australia and Antarctica. But then, around 85 million years ago, enormous tectonic forces started pulling it apart, stretching it like taffy. By about 23 million years ago, the process was pretty much done, and Zealandia had sunk beneath the waves.
Here's actually a great way to picture it. Imagine you're stretching out a piece of pizza dough. The more you pull it from the sides, the thinner and thinner it gets in the middle, right? That is exactly what happened to Zealandia's continental crust. It was stretched so much that it just lost its thickness and its natural buoyancy. So, to recap this incredible journey, Zealandia starts as this solid piece of a supercontinent. Then, these immense tectonic forces pull it like a giant rubber band, thinning out its crust so much that it just couldn't float as high anymore. It started to sag and sink, and finally, the ocean just rushed in and flooded over it, leaving only its highest mountains, what we now call New Zealand, peeking out above the water. Okay, so a submerged continent. It's an amazing story, but why is it so important? Is it just a cool piece of geographic trivia? No, not at all.
The discovery of Zealandia actually has some profound implications for how we understand our own planet.
I mean, this discovery literally forces us to redraw the maps, and not just the physical ones, but our mental maps of what a continent even is. It proves that a continent doesn't have to be dry land, and that challenges one of the most basic things we all learn in grade school.
And this discovery has all these other ripple effects. It's a powerful reminder that Earth is an incredibly dynamic planet, always reshaping itself. It helps biologists understand how unique species like the kiwi evolved in isolation on its mountain peaks. For geologists, it's this perfect real-world laboratory for studying how continents break apart. And it just inspires us to wonder what other discoveries are out there waiting for us.
For centuries, we really thought we had the world all mapped out. But the confirmation of Zealandia just proves there are still these fundamental, massive secrets hidden right beneath our feet. Or, in this case, beneath the waves. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If an entire continent can hide in plain sight for all this time, what else is just waiting to be discovered?